The following video contains coarse language. Viewer discretion is advised.
While that music is still playing from the walk-up. That's some next level shiz right there, bro. That's pretty cool. I could be swinging around, up, down, round and round. Nice. That look.
Pretty killer.
Our stupid set's so bare, but that's okay.
No, we got lots. We got all the important stuff.
That's true. It's a true Uncle Gramma set.
We got the Banff stuff, the Nashville stuff. I got to bring more stuff.
We need more stuff. This is.
I got a bunch of.
People always ask, why do you have so much shit all over your table all the time? They all have a conversation attached to them.
Yeah, and
this is your life on your table.
You have a lot of advertising too with some of the other stuff. There's a lot of cool stuff. Uncle Mike's. There's always Uncle Mike's around.
Damn 20 promo code. Check it out.
Look out.
Welcome.
Promo codes.
These
guys are giving stuff away for free.
To Uncle Gramma story time. I am not the Uncle Gramma. I am the Gary. That's the Uncle Gramma. This is his story time. And we have had a lot of fun getting this ready, haven't we?
Yeah, right now. Oh, today?
Literally just right now.
Good.
And we love starting shows off with Uncle Gramma's Tamagotchi AI robot. And what he does is he throws a bunch of cool stuff in there. Last week, we crushed it. We hit like the 1500s. We didn't hit anything else really, but we hit the timeline.
Oh, you did real good.
Which was pretty cool.
This one, I'm going to say you only get one guess.
Well, it's got to be turkey bag. Is this not a turkey bag? It's very disturbing. It's very AI. Your robot has outdone himself yet again. Give him another nice little pet AI. What do you give him, Bitcoins? You feed him Bitcoins? Is that how you keep him going? Mr. AI, here's your Bitcoin. Great job with your turkey bag. What the hell are we looking at here, bro?
No, you got it.
That's what it was?
Nailed it right off the bat. Guess what I wrote in there? Oh. Turkey bag.
I look at this and I say, why? Why do people continue to feed something that creates this?
Shout out Jimmy from Lavagoat. I don't know. Yeah. We must have had, I don't know, we laughed about that for like an hour and a half for the other night when we were jamming. I don't know what we were talking about where all of a sudden he says out of nowhere, turkey bag. Just like, what the, where did that come from?
And it could, where's this supposed to go? It could go a million different places. You know what I mean? Like, that could be anything.
I was laughing my ass off, and I'm like, I'm going to put that into the thing and see what it gives us.
Did not disappoint.
It's so disturbing. It's like, if you look at it really close, it's
everything
like,
about
oh, there's like, it looks like
I don't
weird
look at its foot.
skin
Look at its foot on the bottom. Gross. Dude,
I've never been so disturbed by a turkey.
Do the whole show like this?
Yeah.
The whole time. Okay, that's the rules.
You keep it on.
Dude.
Turkey bag.
How's Porno Al doing? Are we checking in with him today?
I don't know. He was he called me literally 12 hours ago, which would have been after he closed the bar. So
yeah, Saturday night, Davidson Bar, you know.
Yeah.
That's a party.
Well, and I think he was saying there's a junior C game here tonight,
boy.
So he might be resting up.
Yeah, that's fair.
We're going to get those guys in here. They're going to be showing up later on this evening, but
very excited.
Next week it'll be a nice little episode with the boys.
All the boys.
Yeah, this week though, all I wanted to do is catch up. It's New Year, first episode of the new year.
Here we go. Happy 2025 to you and yours. 25.
Yeah, really, there's not.
It's off to a great start.
Yeah, turkey bags and all.
God, that thing.
We just need more things to put in it, I guess. No, 2025's shaping up to be a pretty good year. Nothing's happened yet, you know.
Which is nice.
We're just only like a couple days in here, but
that's it. Are you looking ahead? Are you excited for the year to come?
I'm absolutely blown away at a lot of the things that are going to be happening. Our Canna Kings are going to be doing a lot of great stuff this year. A lot of the same gigs that we've had over the past year. We're going to be going to Vegas again, and
May or may not have a crew with you, possibly.
Hey, this is the year, man. This is the year we're all fresh as a daisy, I guess you could say. We're ready to go.
What do you call us last show? We're just a couple of old guys who love to have piss ribbons on their pants. You're like those old daisies with piss ribbons on their pants. So fresh.
Yeah,
That's us.
It's gonna be pretty fun. Like I love playing music, but like being able to travel, being in the van, doing all that stuff, like you miss it after a while, and when you start missing it, it's weird because it's like you're actually missing being cramped and sitting there for long periods of time, and
the smell of fresh farts in the air.
Yeah, but everyone has their own experiences. So like, we'll get into this when the guys show up, but good buddy James, the guitar player for our Canna Kings, he's one of the most amazing musicians, not just guitar player. He's got a great ear. Like, he's one of the most amazing musicians I've ever seen in my life.
Serious talent.
We get to see him practice like every day because, like, you know, we're in the van. If we're in the van and we have enough space, like the 15 passenger, put in all the bench seats, and there's only 5 of us, so 3 guys get a bench, and he just sits there and practices for 6-8 hours a day. Like, it's amazing to watch, and it's cool. Like, everyone's got their own system. I'll chuck in some headphones, especially driving through the States. You're just sitting there in your own head, gazing off into the distance, looking at nature. Like, I love the nature aspect of traveling. Like,
yeah, you get to see some shit.
Yeah, and when you see stuff, you're just like, especially when you're in the back and you're taking pictures. I have hundreds, if not thousands, of pictures that I've deleted off my phone from taking from inside a moving van, being like, "Oh, this is beautiful."
Mount Rushmore.
The picture sucks every single time, and you look at the pictures like, no, it looked way better when I was just looking at it, and it's like you go through that process enough, you just stop taking pictures, so you just mentally always logging in what it looks like driving in as soon as you cross into Utah. Like things change, and like. I don't know. Al and I have this thing whenever we go down to Vegas. We're usually driving through Utah at some point, depending on which direction we're coming from. But if you've ever been near or around Salt Lake City, it sucks, like a lot. You drive through or next to Salt Lake City for literally 2.5 hours going 80 miles an hour on a 4-lane highway. And it's like, it's nothing like we have here. Like, you can't do that here. Even in like Calgary or, there's the 401 in Toronto, you're going to get stopped in traffic at some point on that 401. But like that highway next to Salt Lake City is just like, it doesn't stop. The minimum is like 80, 85, which is like 130 kilometers an hour.
That's fast, yeah.
And
that's a speedway.
You got double tandem trailers just crushing you. And like they're going 100 mile an hour next to a city. It's like no one's getting speeding tickets. It's just like, you're just sitting there like, oh, dude, whoa. And it's 2.5 hours of craziness.
Something that you and I know a lot about. The Autobahn.
The Autobahn. Yeah.
The Autobahn.
I've never driven on the Autobahns.
You sang about it. Well, you drummed to it.
I wasn't involved creatively with
That's a very good point.
You
didn't go to Germany and live there for years like Von Trask and Von Hattie. You don't know the ways.
Up in the Alps.
Was it Death Race? They got, oh man. If you want to know more about the Autobahn, check out 911 Turbo. Fantastic band. They got a couple songs dedicated to speeding on the Autobahn. We're not going to get into 911 Turbo. This is Uncle Gramma time, who you may know from some 911 Turbo performances.
We got to get them in here.
Oh, I know. I've been bugging them.
The Vaughn boys.
They're hiding. They're always doing something super Germany, like drinking out of boots.
Mm-hmm. Drinking out of cups.
So we got to get them away from those traditions and get them in here and start telling some stories, because boy, oh boy, we could go off on some of those.
So
you're going through Utah. You're going on the Utahian Autobahn.
Yeah, like last year.
Speed racer.
I can't remember. Was it last year or the year before?
Uh-oh.
I'm trying to remember because we had a breakdown. I think it might have been 2 years ago.
What kind? What kind of breakdown we talking?
Well, I was cruising because I think we woke up somewhere in Idaho. Getting down to Vegas, we're going past Salt Lake City, and there's actually a town just north of Salt Lake City, which is like one of the windiest towns in the country. And I remember seeing it on the news that this town gets overrun by tumbleweeds that are like, these tumbleweeds are massive, but they bury full neighborhoods. So they have to come through with graders.
Come on.
Like they bury houses. There's so many tumbleweeds that come through.
Where are they coming from? Nevada?
They'll come out of the wind comes out of the mountains, and they're coming kind of out of the flats in the desert, and then they push all into this one town. I think it might be called Farmington or something.
I bet you it's called Freshwater Town.
It's good one.
Thank you. I was holding that for a while. If you're watching this, you'll see in my brain like, "Whoa, there's a good name for that." I believe it's Salt Lake City, Freshwater Town.
Like if I had more time, I'd search up a
It's
video.
all good.
But it's like, they'll bury, the tumbleweeds will bury houses, and you'll see like bulldozers, what we would use for snow. They're like bulldozing out tumbleweeds out of this entire town. It's pretty wild. So these
are like your classic tumbleweed. Like when I walk into a room and say something funny, that's the thing that rolls behind me.
Yeah, but these things are big, and they're like they're not the ones that we see. These are like
trees,
more covered in thorns, like a rose bush, but they're like really big. Probably this big around.
Well, yeah, if you're covering houses, and then you have to remember they probably stick together because they got those
and
barbs.
That's all they do is just pile up, and the wind comes through. It's just wild. So I was seeing a bunch of that stuff that morning on social media, and I was like, we're going to be passing through this town. I've never really noticed if it's super windy or not.
So it's like world famous for being the tumbleweed town.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So
this is cool.
we passed through it, and I'm like, yeah, this is exceptionally windy. We're getting pushed around, and then all of a sudden this storm starts, and I'm like, oh, we're getting hit with a mass amount of rain that's just pounding down. The wind's coming through, and now we start our trek. Our 2.5 hour trek next to Salt Lake City. And I'm like, this is like worst case scenario outside of a snowstorm. It's just pounding down. I'm cruising through, trying to stay with traffic, and nothing's necessarily wrong. Like we're not finding anything wrong with the vehicle. We're probably at a quarter tank of gas, and we're all like, been kind of hanging on to everything, being like, holy, like, can we just stop for a second, go gas up? It's like, sure. So we pull up to the gas station, stop, and all of a sudden,
oh no, it's just like in the movies.
And we're just like, come on. Like nothing was wrong, but as soon as we stopped, it was a good thing that it was. Nothing was overheating. Nothing was happening. It's just there's steam everywhere. And it's not smoke, it's not nothing. So we're looking underneath the vehicle, and we can see just like the slightest drip. And it's like, well, the thing is covered in water. Like it's raining still outside. And like, so we're getting underneath the thing. We're looking at it. It's just like, we can't figure out what the hell's going on. We are in a panic mode because we need to be in Vegas for sure the next day at about noon for sound check. And this is probably about 3 o'clock or 4 o'clock on whatever day it was. It wasn't an easy day to be dealing with this. I think it was a Thursday or something. Who knows?
Clock's ticking.
And it was in a place called Beaver, Utah.
Classic.
Yeah. So we're searching around looking for a shop. And there's only one shop open, and it's across the highway. So we get in this thing, and we're like, not sure if we should be driving it, but we drive it anyway, pull it up to the shop. And these guys are just like, yeah, we close in a half an hour. And we're like, man, like, can somebody just please look at it? Because we don't know what's going on. And we just need to know what's going on. If we have to leave it here, he's like, yeah, we might not be able to fix it till like next Monday, depending on what part you need or whatever.
Come
it's
on.
like,
What's up with the good people of Beaver, Oregon?
Oh, Utah. But
Beaver,
like,
Utah, even worse than the Beavers in Oregon.
Like we were stressed out to a point where we had 2 or 3 of us now calling rent-a-car places to rent a van. Now, all of the vans, 15-passenger vans, minivans, anything, are all booked up in the area. And again, these rent-a-car places are only open for the next half hour. Yeah. So we're calling every single one, Enterprise, whatever. And the only one that actually has a van that we can get is actually in St. George, like 2 hours away on the way to Vegas. So now we're trying to like think of plans where a guy gets a car, goes to St. George, rents a different van and comes back and do the thing. Like,
too many busy beavers in Beaver, Utah.
And we're trying to figure this out like lickety split, and guys were on hold with this thing and like I'm on hold with another thing, and my brain's about to explode. Yeah. We don't know what we're going to do if all of this stuff doesn't pan out. And we're just like, nothing's panning out. It's like, what the hell are we going to do? It was probably the most panicked I've ever been on a breakdown, because there was time constraints. There's never really that bad of a time constraint, but this was like,
not only time constraints, all of your efforts to fix said problem are coming up very unfruitful.
Oh, it was ridiculous. So I'm standing outside and I'm staring at the ground. I'm looking at the mud. I'm just like, I'm just going to stand out here in a rain cloud, just
Charlie
sitting
Browning,
over,
man.
like,
He's Charlie Browning hard.
Oh, and I'm usually not that.
You're never that guy. You're the guy. You're the glue guy. You're the guy bringing people up. And you're the guy that's normally cracking jokes at this point.
Yeah, it wasn't a good time to be cracking any jokes.
I can feel that.
And all of a sudden, our singer, John, comes barreling out of the thing, because I'm standing outside. And he comes barreling out. He's like, holds up this thing. He just goes like this. And I'm like, what's that? Like, he's like, it's what was wrong. We're good. And I'm like, what do you mean we're good?
My wiener was the problem?
So he holds up this little piece of rubber. It's about a half an inch thick, and it's got a little like cut in it and a hole right to the middle of a tube. It's a black tube. And this guy looks over the whole vehicle. He can't find a thing. And he's about to come and tell us that he doesn't know what's wrong. So he starts reharnessing all of these tubes that he said were kind of just dangling. And he goes and he sees one, and he's like, it's right next to a belt, right next to the alternator belt. And he goes and he moves it, and it's like, oh, it could have been touching this belt. And he looks on the inside of it. Sure enough, the belt was rubbing against one of these tubes, and it created the tiniest little pinhole with the pressure that was just spitting onto the side of the engine and to the side of this belt that's spraying it all over the inside of the hood. And it's like, what is this? Well, it's just this simple little line. And we're like, what the hell? So the guy clipped it at both ends and put some clamps on it and just like, boom, you guys are good. I'm like,
hold on. So you thought all the shaking, all the craziness was from all the crazy wind and being on the Autobahn?
Oh no, it was the steam that was coming out was because of this broken line. And the guy just looked at us. He's like, yeah, this is what, half a cent's worth of rubber. He's like, yeah, you guys are good to go. And we're like, what do we owe you? He's like, nothing. Have a great time. So we gave him a bunch of CDs and shirts, and they're all like, hey, this is great. It's like, here's $50. Go get a case of beer for the boys. Thanks for staying extra long. And they're like, no, don't worry about it. Like, oh. And like, we hopped back in the van, and we were on the road in 2 minutes. Yeah. We were all just like, get in. Let's get the hell out of here. Dude. And we're going down the road, and that feeling, this is why I brought up this story. It's the feeling where you're still bummed out that you broke down, but you're back out on the road and you're still sunk. You're still sunk in this, like, not depression, but like, ugh.
Yeah.
But then all of a sudden it changes, boom, boom, boom. And we're back out on the road. It's like, what did I just do to my brain? Yeah. Like, and stress is a massive thing all over the world. You know, people have, problems with anxiety and depression and all these types of stuff. And stress is a number one, cause of all of this stuff. And you do it to yourself. Mm-hmm. And there's so many things about being in that group of people where you help each other out. You see the one guy down and you see the other guy down. You try and bring them back up. But when you're down, and then everyone else is down, it's
The worst.
it's very hard as a group to pick each other all back up. But like that feeling of the five of us driving away in that van was just like, it felt like we just conquered the world. Like we're good. We're like, that feeling is unmatched. You can't.
You got out of the quicksand. You were in the quicksand, and you're like, man, we're all going down. There's nothing that can save us this time. And you've been in these situations so many times before.
Yeah.
And then you get pulled out of the quicksand, and you're still, in your head, you're still stuck in the quicksand. But when, in reality, everything you were just wishing for came true, and you're back on track, on schedule. All thanks to the great people of Beaver, Utah. I take back every bad word I said. Beaver, Utah, you are amazing, and we love and appreciate you so damn much.
Yeah, it was amazing.
There's a saying I heard from a good friend of mine about how people react to different things. When you break down all your basic stuff, and you, like, say, for instance, in recovery, you're supposed to acknowledge your issues and all that. When you break it down to the very, very basic level, you can either react two ways. That's basically what it comes down to. You got two ways. You can either be, say your friend dies.
Yeah.
Something horrible happens. You can either go into your spiral and go down this way, or you can be so grateful for the time you had with this person. It's that simple. And when you're in a situation like that, everybody's going down. Yeah. Everybody's going down this way. And you need somebody, because you're not coming out of that quicksand if you don't have one person that looks at it from the other way and says, boys, can you believe how far we made it? Mm-hmm. Can you believe that we get to do this, all these things? Yep. And boom, you're right back. It's all about how you interpret what's happening and how you react to it. That's what I'm trying to really hard to work on, because it's so easy to go down this way. This is expert level hard.
Absolutely. Like I just saw a quote. It's like, dying's easy, but math's hard.
Yes. I failed my grade 12 math 3 different times.
Yeah.
3 different times, the exact same course. I should have just saved the test, but I was too dumb to even do that.
Yeah, just keep trying, man. It's just the way to.
I'll never get math. That's the one I will never, ever, ever, ever get.
Well, you said never. Now it ain't going to happen.
Yeah, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
Math, ugh,
so
yuck.
I guess like this reminds me of one other thing that I was going to bring up. We did the tire change there.
The death change.
Yeah.
Wow.
So there was a story that I wanted to tell, and it's a breakdown in the Yukon that happened about almost exactly a year before that near-death tire change video.
Okay.
So the year before that, we were traveling Vagabond. We were traveling in a 1971. It was an international. I think it was an international school bus.
Nice.
Like school buses, if you buy it privately, you have to paint it. You can't keep it yellow.
It's got to be a different color.
That's a law.
Yeah.
And
that
if
makes
it's
sense.
green or white or whatever it was. So we had it white. I think guys bought it off an old softball team or something like that.
A softball team had a team bus?
Yeah, I guess.
That's a good softball team.
Right?
Hell yeah.
And this thing was nuts. Like, it was a school bus, and we're driving it up the Alaska Highway, and there's 2 tanks on it. And I remember back in the day, this would have been 2004. So 20 years ago, it cost $700 Canadian to fill one of those tanks. Oh. And it would take us 3 tanks to get to Whitehorse from here. And so it's what, $2,100?
$2,100. I don't know that because 7s are easy because they are the same as a football touchdown.
Yeah, so there and back is like just over $4,000 in gas in a bus. Like it
$4,200.
It's, and this is 20 years ago. It was silly. But, and to think of it, bands get paid less now than they used to.
How do they afford
How does that
travel?
work?
That
Seems like a lot of these bars are making a lot of money.
Uh-oh.
Anyway, so we're on our way. We would do weekend gigs. We'd play our month-long gig in Whitehorse itself. But because DJs were so popular at the time, they would hire DJs for the weekend, and we would play all week. We'd play Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. And then we'd have Friday, Saturday off, which is kind of bizarre. And then because they'd have DJs on the weekend. So
do you guys ever go to the DJ shows?
No, because we would start getting gigs on the weekends in other towns. So we would go to
off days too. Hey,
technically our off days, but we would go to Dawson City on one weekend. And then come back, or we'd go to Watson Lake, which is one of my favorite places on the planet, on a weekend. So in this case, we were going to Watson Lake for a weekend and then coming back to Whitehorse and then we were going to leave like in another 2 weeks or whatever. So we're driving to Watson Lake. It's about, in the bus, it would take us about 7 or 8 hours. And we're about 5 hours into that trip. So maybe about 2.5, 3 hours away from Watson Lake. And there's not much in there. If you look at a map, there isn't much in between Watson Lake and Whitehorse. I could actually whip out a map. But there's only a couple little towns. So we're driving along, and a lot like this previous story I just told about with the van, except for we weren't stopping. We saw the steam coming out of the front of the bus.
Yeah.
And it was not good. Like, something happened, and it just went...
This was not a 5-cent piece of plastic getting rubbed.
Ugh. It was... So we stop, and this thing is just billowing, and we're like, oh no!
What goes through your head?
Well, and that's the other thing. If you look at it on a map, if you were to look north or you look south, there's thousands of kilometers of mountains and literally thousands of kilometers with no roads. It's just that desolate, and you're sitting there on the side of the road with it looks like a bus is on fire, and you're like, I don't know what we're gonna do.
This is us.
So we looked at it and see this tube. It was a pipe, probably about 3.5 inches by about this big, that was connected to our radiator, and now all of a sudden it's spraying green like rad juice all over the inside of everything. And it's like, it's not good. Like, it's really not good. This has got a huge gash in it. It's just like, we need a new hose, but there's nobody out there. We had police drive by, didn't even stop.
No.
Not kidding. Like, we had so many people drive by, and we were waving at them, and they just keep going. Like, they would slow down to 60 and then keep going. And it's like,
there must
we're in the middle of nowhere here.
There must be some incidents of some.
There's a lot of people get freaked out of like basically highway robbery or like piracy and stuff like that.
This is a van in the middle of nowhere.
This is a bus.
This is a bus. This isn't like someone's like vehicle outside of the road. Like,
and
this is legit.
Four dudes, so like
waving for your lives, literally, like, please help.
Yeah, it was frustrating. So we started to kind of give up on that whole idea and try to come up with something. So if you see the Alaska Highway, all along the way, there's like rock structures, Inukshuk's, and like people write their names in stones on the side of the highway. So you're driving along, it's like, oh, Gary and nice. Ted or whatever. Yeah. And so we're sitting there, it's like, we got a lot of time. Maybe we should just write our band name on the side of the road and rocks. So we spent about 2 hours collecting rocks and started organizing. We got to Vagabo.
So close.
Yeah.
2 more letters.
We're just, at the N or whatever. We're trying to collect some more rocks. And Mike, our fearless leader, and we called him Coach at the time, just like was putting a rock down and just something hit him. And we all looked at him. And like, we always have if Mike's happy, the eyebrows are up. If he's disappointed, the eyebrows are down.
No,
these eyebrows just went straight up, and we're all
very erect eyebrows. I love this.
What's going on? What's happening? What did you think of? And he's just like, huh, and runs back to the bus, doesn't say a thing to us. And he just starts scrambling. And he goes underneath the back left tire. And he's looking underneath, and something clicked into me. I was like, oh, there's a rear heater in this thing that we've never used. This is in the middle of the wintertime or middle of the summertime. There's no reason to use heat, but there's a rear heater in the back of the bus that sits right over the wheel well of the back tire. And this is connected to all the other things. And he goes and he looks, and he's like, no shit. And he unhooks a tube about this big and about that big around, and is like, holy shit, is this going to work? Takes the clamps off of it, goes up to the front, and it's the exact same hose. Just exact same hose, just connected it, boom, boom, boom. He pours a bunch of clean water into the radiator. We have a little thing of gas about this big, because there's carburetor on the old tractor of a bus. Put a little gas in there, and boom, it starts right up. We hop in the bus, and we're just, Next thing you know, we're about 20 minutes down the road, and we're like, oh, we didn't even finish the name. It's like,
We got so excited about getting our prayers answered, we forgot to finish our stone name.
Yeah, and it was like probably maybe 4 hours, 5 hours of sitting there on the side of the road, just like nothing's gonna come and help us. Like we're gonna camp on the side of the road. Like this is it. We have a couple cans of beans and stuff, but like we have cell phones, but we're in no coverage, and so the people of Watson Lake are probably gonna. We thought if we don't show up, someone might come looking for us.
And that's sort of the idea, right? Like in reality, like stay where you are because people will retrace your steps.
Yeah. So it was pretty wild, but that was that same feeling. We're driving away and we're still all freaked out.
Still in your quicksand.
Yeah. And we're driving through, and this thing is just whatever. So we get to Watson Lake.
Hallelujah.
And we'd never played there before. But we show up to this place. It was the Watson Lake Hotel, R.I.P. It's now burnt down.
Oh, no.
It's a legendary old place. And we show up, and in the window, it was this like old cartoon burlesque painting. It says, "Welcome the Vagabonds." And like they made a painting in a window to welcome us to their town. It's not even like a poster for the show. This was like for us.
Full on specifically for you.
And we walk in there and say hello to this nice lady named Grace, and then this beautiful woman named Sandy, who then proceeded to help us out with one of the best weekends we'd ever had anywhere. And it wasn't because we almost just broke down. These are some of, the salt of the earth best people in the world. And they've, the Yukon is absolutely amazing. It's full of all these amazing people. Yeah. Shout out to Sandy and Grace. It's, I love everybody up there. So we ended up staying there for a couple days, went back to Whitehorse, finished our gig there, and we had to pass Watson Lake on the way home. We stayed in Watson Lake for another 10 days after that because they said, come back. We'll let you guys play for a couple nights, but we'll give you rooms, we'll give you stuff to do. If you have nowhere to go or no tour or whatever, and we're like, we have 3 weeks off, basically, to get back down into central BC and then start on another grouping of gigs. Or we go all the way home and then go back out to BC, which was going to be very expensive. Mm-hmm. So we just figured, hey, if we got a chance to kind of stick around up here and make some extra dough and not spend anything, then it was great. So like we just hung out there and, made lifelong friends with pretty much everyone there. And the very interesting part about this is, somewhere down the line, our good buddy Mike, coach, he is now currently dating the girl who was the waitress at the Watson Lake Hotel, who we became very good friends with there, and we've stayed very good friends with for a very long time, and now they've been dating for the past 2 or 3 years, and it's like serendipitous. Like 20 years later, they find each other, and it's like, yeah.
Angels,
this is amazing.
Angels of the road.
Yeah, it's incredible.
Those excuse me. Those stories are what make my heart go. Those moments and like examples of people thinking of others before themselves, people just wanting to make the world a better place. Those are the people we need. And anytime we can put a spotlight on those people, God, that feels good.
Yep. Yeah,
I like that. I like that a lot.
I just heard a story the other day, someone was like, I once spent a Christmas, not doing any Christmassy things and ended up that day, it just happened to be, they ended up taking 3 lost young boys home who were lost in a neighborhood, just wandering around on Christmas Day, and they don't know where they were. And it was like, they got the one thing that they remember most about that Christmas was, hey, I got to help out 3 people that were like, lost on Christmas. It's kind of terrifying to think of if you have like young kids or whatever, but that was the Christmas for them. That's what made it. And it's not about
the Christmas spirit. Man.
Yeah, it's just one of those things that you may you never know if you have an open heart and whatever, you might be able to change somebody's day just by being open and positive.
You changed my day by doing just that today.
Oh, well, that's good.
I want you to know that. Are we going to try to do a call here? What's our deal? As I look at this incredibly horrifying turkey bag.
Well,
This is live. We got a live update right here. What's going on, Grandma?
Well, I wanted to call my buddy Ted here, but he said he's got a toothache.
Ted.
I don't care if you have a toothache, Ted.
I love how it's on camera. Ted's going to see this and know that this moment where you're supposed to be shining, he's literally getting pooped on for his toothache.
Yeah, we'll get you next time when your tooth's all nice and good.
Well, again, we don't want excuses when guys join us either. We want them to bring the A game. We want you to bring your A game when you join this party.
That's true. That's true. So next time we'll get into more of this stuff. But yeah, be nice to everybody. Love your neighbor.
Hell yeah.
If you ever see anybody stuck on the side of the road, please just ask if they need any help.
Or call someone and tell them they're there if you're too scared. Because we're all guilty of it. I've been there a million times. Like, there's no chance I would pick up a hitchhiker. It's like, why is my brain saying that to me?
It never hurts to actually just ask. You know, like
from a distance.
Maybe you don't want to help them, but it's like it it might help them for a second just to talk to somebody. It's like, no, I'm fine.
Just with the
Oh, do you got any
situation.
room? No, sorry, but yeah, somebody will come along. Whatever.
He's got it.
Just it. Be a good person.
Words to live by. You're supposed to end it on something funny. And I don't want to end it on something. I just don't want to end the show talking about the turkey bag, man. I just can't handle this thing. Normally I can handle this stupid Tamagotchi, but not today, bro.
I'm going to play some Lavagoat on the way up. Little Forge of Vulcan. All the Lavagoat stuff is now up on all streaming platforms. YouTube, Spotify, Apple Music, all that stuff. The whole catalog, all like 8 records or whatever it is that we have. Go check out Lavagoat.